Welcome back to MTG Deck Busters. We're here to wrap up the Eldrazi Esper Exile deck. Also, join us for the blooper reel at the end of the video, because I talk way too fast and sometimes my tongue trips over itself. Alright, this is MTG Deck Busters. My name is Shiva, and we're here to talk about the Esper Exile deck that I did the last 5 videos on. Now, unlike my other wrap-up videos, I'm not going to go into all the play-by-plays of all the errors. I changed the format structure a little bit so that I do all of that at the end of each deck video, rather than doing it all in the wrap-up. I will go through each list and what our total matchups were like in general terms. But first off, I want to apologize for how late this video came out. I actually did 3 decks last week. Kind of got a little bit burned out. These videos actually take quite a lot of effort to make. It's not, if you think about the time it takes me to record the videos, and then I spend at least that much time, if not more, just editing the videos and getting everything to line out and cutting out all the dead times where people are thinking or they're tapping mana. That's just boring. So I cut that out. And then there's like doing things like making the title or the thumbnail screens, so that all the graphics for the thumbnail screens. And it actually takes quite a bit of work. And then there's the recording the wrap-ups and the intros. So doing three all in 1 week really burnt me out. I actually stayed in bed for the last 3 days, even though I wanted to get this video up. So because I've been bedridden for a couple days, I am still a little under the weather. I'm still a little fatigued. So if I seem a little bit out of it while I'm talking, or I still seem a little flushed, that's part of it. I'm trying to. I should probably still be in bed. Fortunately, my day job isn't till the weekend, so I wound up having like 10 days off in a row because I worked Monday and Tuesday last week, and this week I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I started this channel on Monday. That's how I know I started this channel on Monday, because I was working on Monday and Tuesday. I remember mentioning on one of my videos that I was really pissed off with the deck, and I went to work and I came back and I felt fine. So first up, we went 1 and 2 versus a more traditional Eldrazi deck with Eldrazi Smashers, Reality Smashers, the 5/5 trample haste guys that are really annoying. We went 1 and 2 against that. I want to blame mulliganing, but honestly, if you look at that last game, it was sped up. I sped it up to 125 or 150% speed. Actually, I should go back and add an annotation to say that's what I'm doing, because otherwise my voice gets really high pitched and you have no idea what's going on. And I talk pretty fast regularly, so hey, maybe I'm just talking fast. But the truth be told, if you look at that video, he did have 2 Thought Knot Seers like back to back. Even if I wasn't mana screwed, I would not have recovered from that. Our second match was versus green-white tokens, our standard green-white tokens deck. It's just a hands-down better deck. Like, honestly, that deck, the key components are not going anywhere. The only thing tokens is losing is Hangerback Walker, and Dracoma's Command is a big one, but Hangerback Walker is going away. But mostly the deck revolves around Gideon and Nissa. And I know that in Kaladesh, probably in the second set, we're going to be getting another Gideon or another Nissa, one or the other. People are saying that it won't be Gideon because of story reasons. I actually think it will be Gideon because of story reasons, even though he's not going to Kaladesh for the first block, but I believe he'll be going to Kaladesh for the second block. Anyways, we might be getting a new Gideon or another Nissa, who might actually make tokens more powerful, depending on exactly what their mechanics are going to be. Yeah, 0-2 versus tokens, if I haven't said that already, pretty standard. It's one of the top decks, so you expect it to be a tough challenge for a road deck. And then we went up against the new upcoming, I like to call it the new standard boogeyman, because I have a feeling that Spirits is going to be a top deck for a while. For a lot of the things, I'm doing that wiggling thing again with my leg. I'm going to make sure I don't do that. I think Spirits is going to be a thing for a lot of the same reasons that Fairies was a thing. You get to wait until the very last second to do anything. So you can literally cast anything depending on the circumstance. And it's really tough to play a deck against a deck like that. The only decks I think can really deal with and you know what? That's something that Blue hasn't been doing a whole lot. Like Blue used to have lots of abilities in Classic Magic that let you look at your opponent's hand. The most recent Blue one I can think of that did that was, I don't even know what it's called, but it was a Phyrexian spell that cost 1 blue mana, cost 1 Phyrexian blue mana. I played against it in Modern where people just pay 2 life just to look at your hand before they're doing anything, even if they're not playing Blue. But I haven't seen a whole lot of Blue look at target player's hand. I think I'd like to see more of that. I think I'd like to see Blue do things like look at target player's hand, put a card on top of their library, stuff like that. Of course, that'd be too expensive. If you want to do that, it needs to be low casting cost. Now, Black will discard, but a lot of Black's discard lets you look at the player's hand and choose a card, not just have them discard cards. I think that's more Blue's domain. Anyways, I'm a little bit off topic here, but that's one thing that we need to see against Spirits is more card, like looking at their hands so you can see, okay, they've got these things, I can play around these things. Anyways, we did go 1 and 2 versus Spirits, which I'm actually impressed with because, like I said, it is one of the major standard boogeyman. I actually think it's going to be one of the top decks for a while. And then we've got Orzhov. Now, the player of that deck posted his deck list in the comments of that video. He calls it an Orzhov control, but it's got a lot more lower casting cost bashy creatures than your standard control, and doesn't run Languish. I don't know if he's going for, maybe he's thinking towards post-rotation, except he's playing Knight of the White Orchid. Knight of the White Orchid is huge when you're on the draw. It basically negates your land advantage when you're on the play. So the opponent who played the Orzhov deck did post his deck tech in the comments. You can go back to the comments there and check it out. Maybe a lot of card as well. Curse Seal, I forget he has 2 numbers after it, but basically Curse Seal. He did pose his Orzhov deck. I think his intention was that he wanted me to play it on the channel. He didn't exactly say it that way, but just kind of the way the conversation played out, I got that impression. Kind of like I did with the Eldrazi or this deck. I prefer to play decks that have a deck tech posted by another YouTuber, because then I can just link to their deck tech rather than creating a deck tech video of my own. But the deck does seem very interesting. It is kind of the next evolution of bashiness. I think he wants to make some changes to it when Kaladesh comes in and he does the rotation. And maybe when that happens, I will have a look at that deck again. But right now, I don't really want to do videos that are about to rotate out. It's less than a month away. It's like the pre-release is like 3 weeks away now, and then the release is the week after that. So I don't really want to be playing with Origins and Dragons of Tarkir. Our 5th deck was against Delirium. I said Bant Delirium during the intro. That's not quite true. He was running red for Kozilek's Return. Not sure what else he was doing. I've had a lot of time to think about it since then. Like I said, I was bedridden for 3 days because I ran a fever. But I was thinking that maybe he was running some kind of Emerge, or possibly trying to get Emrakul out. And the amount of bounce that I had with the Reflector Mages just doesn't make an Emerge strategy very, very viable. I have a feeling that Emerge will dominate once Reflector Mage rotates out, just because Reflector Mage is just so good that it negates that strategy. Against this Delivery deck, we did go 1 in match abandonment. Our opponent abandoned the match. So that does count as a match win. I'd prefer not to count a match win for 1 game. I did actually play 6 decks of this. I played 1 versus Super Friends. Deploy the Gatewatch Super Friends, which I believe was Saffron Olive's deck. I believe it was exactly the same as Saffron Olive's deck. It wasn't a very good matchup. Like literally, like it. if there's enough interest, maybe I'll link the raw footage and just not edit it and just say here's the match versus Super Friends. That deck, once it gets going, locks down the board, and our deck has no way of handling Planeswalkers. And actually, there's not a whole lot of way to handle Planeswalkers at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Super Friends doesn't become a thing. Although Obnixilus is rotating out, yeah, with Obnixilus, wait, is Obnixilus rotating out? Or was he in BFZ? All right, so we're about to move into the deck tech list, but before I do that, there is one card that I completely missed while doing the deck tech that, because I recorded the deck tech before I actually even did the videos, before I even actually did the wrap-ups for each individual video. And I caught it while I was going through that. I'm like, you know what, I have a feeling that this deck was different. And so I actually pulled up the other video. There's one card that's missing that when I played against it, from in my mind, made this deck. It's one of the reasons why I'm excited to play it. And that card is Mind Melter. Now, if you watch the other playthrough, you'll see that Mind Melter gets in a lot, especially if you've got a lot of blockers. There are so many times when I just couldn't attack because you had blockers or bigger creatures or an army of tokens or whatever. Mind Melter can get in for damage, and it can exile cards. CMC 4 or 5, I believe, three generic and one colorless, or 4 generic and one colorless, which is right around the time when you need to get out your Ulamog's Nullifier, and the black one, the Wasteland Strangler. So having that extra way of exiling cards, I think really matters especially when you have a lot of lands and you can't really do a whole lot anyways. So that's one card that I did not mention in the deck tech that I'm just about to do. I guess it's that way. So keep an eye out for that. I think he took those out for the Reflector Mages. So that's another card to keep an eye out, to think about while I'm talking about the rest of the changes in the next portion of the video here.
All right, so let's have a look at this deck and see if there aren't any improvements that we can make. First off, let's make this rotation ready by taking out everything that rotates. So there goes the Dragonlord Silgamore. There goes Tragic Arrogance, Ultimate Price. We also lose Languish here, but we've already got a replacement for that, and I'll talk about that in a second. We've also lose 2 Duresses. Now, instead of the Duresses, something that should have been here in the first place is Transgress the Mind. And the reason for that is because Transgress the Mind exiles, and since we care about exile, that is very important. It also allows us to hit creatures as long as their casting cost 3 or greater. It's a lot of times when we wanted to hit like an Archangel or something. So Transgress the Mind is hands down better. Instead of the Languishes, it's not quite the same, but we want Flaying Tendrils. And if anybody's watched if anybody's watched the Black-Red Burn deck, Flaying Tendrils is such a good card. And actually both Transgress the Mind and Flaying Tendrils were in that. Now, Flaying Tendrils isn't quite as good as Language, but it does cost less. So you do get it out a little bit earlier. Now you do get Flaying Tendrils out a turn earlier, which can be huge. And you've seen how much work it does against zombies. It works against mono white humans, even if they have a single Always Watching You Out. It'll do work against spirits, which we currently have a problem with. Notable card that it does not hit is Sylvan Advocate. It doesn't hit Duskwatch Recruiter after it flips. It doesn't hit Archangel Avacyn. Speaking of Archangel Avacyn, we've got them right here. And honestly, we can do well by cutting out these and the Gideons and the little Linvala, possibly the Kaladesh, and also Liliana. And the reason we want to cut those is because they're just way too expensive. And they don't really do anything for our strategy. We would prefer cards that focus on our strategy than anything else. Now, I wasn't a big fan of Corrupted Crossroads here, mostly because it our deck is a little bit color screwed as it is. One thing that I would change to fix that is I would actually move the Stasis Snare to the sideboard. And I can't spell Stasis. I'll move a couple copies of these to the sideboard. That frees us for another copy of Void Shatter. In the main deck, or 2 more copies in the main deck, I guess. We should probably put in another copy of... I would also move the Anguished Unmaking to the sideboard, mostly because of the life loss, and we don't have a ton of life gain in this deck. I think Linvala is the only way we have of gaining life, or had of gaining life, and the Shambling Vents. I would like to see more colorless sources, possibly Warped Landscape instead of the Evolving Wilds. Now, Warped Landscape, yes, it costs 2 to get your other land, but in the meantime, you can tap it for mana on the turn it comes into play. So it actually speeds up your deck's tempo while giving you the option of mana fixing a little bit later if you need to. Like if you end a turn and you have 2 mana that you haven't used, well, go ahead and do it. Technically costs 3 mana if you think about it, because Warped Landscape itself needs to be tapped. The other colorless producer that could work in a 3-color deck would be Unknown Shores. And the reason for this is because it produces colorless mana, and for 1 mana more, you can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So basically, when early in the game, if you have this out, it just costs 1 more to produce colored mana if you're missing a specific color of mana. And that mana can be generic. So if you have 2 Unknown Shores out, both of those together will get you 1 colored mana. I would honestly rather have that instead of the Corrupted Crossroads, or perhaps instead of something else in here. Obviously, we need the wastes to fetch. Although, if we did switch out the Evolving Wilds, we could take that out for something else, because the Evolving Wilds were the because if the Evolving Wilds were the Warped Landscape, we've already got a colorless source. We don't need to sacrifice Warped Landscape for a wasteland. That's all the changes that I would do to make it rotation ready. I'd like to see another copies of Horribly Awry on the sideboard. Now, as I said during the intro, I do think this deck has some potential for Modern, even though it didn't do us very well here. But if you did want to try this out in Modern, stuff like Swords to Plowshares would work. It also notably hits everything that has Suspend. So all the suspended cards from Time Spiral, a lot of which are used. I see a lot of Rift Bolt, I see a lot of Search for Tomorrow. Those cards just get eaten by Ulamog's Nullifier or Wasteland Strangler. Just because they're in exile. That's where they are in the game state. So when you cast Wasteland Strangler, you can choose that suspend card and get rid of it. So I'm curious to see what advantages Kaladesh has to... So I'm curious to see if there's any advantages that Kaladesh has in this deck. I kind of expect a junkyard strategy where you exile artifacts from the graveyard to do something. And if we have a strategy like that and our opponent is exiling their own stuff, this deck becomes much, much better. But it's hard to predict what a new set will produce, at least until the spoilers come out.
So that concludes the wrap-up for this deck. Now, as I mentioned, I was bedridden for a few days just from exhaustion from editing videos like non-stop for the last few days. So this week I will not be doing 2 decks. I'll only be doing 1 deck either on Saturday or Sunday. Next week I can do a regular schedule of doing Saturday and Sunday. I may also restrict the decks to 3 videos mostly just watching the way people view the videos. There's statistics on YouTube on viewing them. I think reducing 5 videos all at once is a little bit too much for most viewers. So I think I'm going to restrict it to 3. Leave a comment in the comments below if if you think 5 is better. So that will help alleviate some of the amount of work that goes into these videos as well. Now that said, while I was basically bedridden, after coming back and actually looking at the channel, I just saw such an like if you look at the chart for views, it does this huge spike. I've been seeing a little bit more views, a little bit more, but it's been exponential growth, even though I haven't even been updating the channel for 3 days, and I've been missing this bottom video. People seem to really like the Evolving Angels decks, even though there's no, I haven't even done the thumbnails. They have still the old thumbnails. I'm actually a little bit embarrassed by the first video, but it seems to be the most popular one of all of them. And that's actually a little bit on you guys. You guys have been really supportive. Even though I've only got 12 subscribers, there's been a lot of traffic being done to these videos. And I think that's because every time you like a video, it tells YouTube algorithm, hey, this deck is, this video is being liked. Maybe other people enjoy it as well, and it tends to get shared a little bit more, it tends to get recommended a little bit more. And that's really encouraging to see. I've only been doing this for literally a week. I literally started this channel a week ago, almost a week ago to the day, or was it Tuesday? I don't remember. But literally, a week in, and I have 11 subscribers. And it's been it's not been steady. It's been an exponential number of subscribers, exponential number of views. So that's huge. I appreciate the support. I really it's astounding to me that this kind of spur of the moment. Hey, you know what? There's a need for people to show decks that haven't been tested before. Speaking of which, I did get a request to do a Call the Gatewatch deck. I think he means deploy the Gatewatch, because Call the Gatewatch isn't really a card. It's not really a card that you really want to be playing. I don't know of any YouTuber that's done a deploy the deck watch that hasn't already played. I know that there's one. I know Saffron Olive did one on MTG Goldfish, but he played the deck, and he actually did very well with it. I think he won almost every game, except for maybe one with it. It's part of his Against the Odds series. Against the Odds is decks that aren't supposed to do very well. They're kind of niche or kind of weird. He did a land destruction in Standard and dominated with it. He's a much better player than I am. He can win even with bad decks. So if you want to see a Call the Gatewatch deck, definitely check that video out. If there's a specific YouTube video where they've done a deck tech and they haven't actually played the deck, that's what this channel is all about. So definitely, I would say definitely post a link to those in the comments, or message to me on my Google Plus, or here in YouTube. I'm definitely interested in checking those out. Right now, most of the decks that I've been playing have come from SBMTG, because he doesn't do his own plays. He just talks about his decks. He's really passionate about creating decks, which is one of the reasons why I like his videos. But he doesn't actually play the decks. The next deck that I want to do is his Splendid Simic deck. Oh my God, it's another tongue twister deck. Splendid Simic. I'm a sucker for Simic decks. Blue-green is my favorite color combination. I prefer blue-green Bashi, but blue-green combo semi-control kind of is fun too. I believe he calls his Turbo Reclamation. It's also a whole thread on a very similar archetype over on MTG Salvation, which I post on a lot. If you want to look me up there, I believe my YouTube handle there is Guild Wars Guru 2 or something obscure, because I was on Guild Wars Guru, and then when I signed up to MTG Salvation, it was like, oh hey, you've already got an account with Curse. Just use this account. It didn't keep my username. It didn't keep Shiva Fang as my username. It's just like, oh, you're Guild Wars user number 2. It's like, okay, whatever. So I'm Guild Wars Guru 2 on whatever. Is my avatar is a Breloom, a Pokemon Breloom, a shiny Breloom, red one. So that's how you can find me on that channel as well. That would be another place you can message me to post suggestions for deck techs. I haven't yet put this channel on my signature on that site. I've read the terms and services. I am allowed to put links to my stuff in my signature as long as it's not like retardedly like neon flashy, right? So I will be doing that eventually. I just haven't yet. I do want to note, however, that I'm really only interested in doing decks right now that are not using Origins cards or Dragons of Tarkir cards. The rotation is less than a month away. So I don't really want to be doing videos that are going to be outdated in a month. And that's going to be my policy for this channel in general, is that the last month before the standard rotation, I'm not going to include, like when the new set was just announced as being Amon Ket, an Egyptian-themed thing. So when that set's about to rotate in, I won't be including decks that have BFZ stuff. Bye-bye Reflector Mage, and bye-bye, what's the other card that's in there that I don't like? I think just Reflector Mage. Oh, Sylvan Advocate. Bye-bye Sylvan Advocate. So yes, if there is a deck that you want to see, don't link me link me to YouTube videos that have cards from those sets. I prefer not to do those. It's okay if the main deck is rotation ready. The sideboard isn't. The sideboard will need to change regardless when Kaladesh comes in, because it's going to have mechanics that are going to rotate out that are going to be different anyways. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. That's it for MTG Deck Busters for now. We'll see you again on Sunday. We'll have one more deck for you. Like I said, it'll probably be Splendid Simic. Until then, thanks for watching and keep on brewing. This time on MTG Deck. This time on MTG Deck Busters. This time on MTG Deck Busters. Can our exile strategy go up against? Was just announced as being Amon Ket, which is going to be an Egyptian thing.